I'm 79 years old, and I spent most of my life mistaking intensity for intimacy. I thought fast love was real love. I was wrong, and by the time I understood what slow connection really meant, it was already too late. I'm sitting in a small room now, watching the afternoon light move across the wall. It's quiet here, too quiet. I used to think quiet meant empty. Now I know it means honest. I've lived long enough to see patterns repeat, and long enough to realize I misunderstood something fundamental about love, especially with women who had already lived a little. If you're young or just still searching, I want to tell you what I learned, not from books, from mistakes. When I was younger, I believed love was supposed to feel like a storm. I was 27 in 1973, long hair, too much confidence. I worked in sales, wore cheap cologne, and thought I had life figured out. I liked things fast, fast cars, fast deals, fast conversations, fast women. I thought speed meant passion. I thought urgency meant importance. If a woman didn't fall for me quickly, I assumed she wasn't interested, or worse, that I wasn't enough. So I pushed. I filled silence with words. I filled space with plans. I filled uncertainty with promises I didn't understand, and for a while it worked. Younger women often mistook my intensity for depth. I mistook their excitement for connection. But then, there was Helen. She was 41 when I met her. I remember the first time I saw her. It was in a small bookstore downtown, the kind that smelled like old paper and dust and coffee that had been reheated too many times. She was reading quietly, one hand on the shelf, the other holding a paperback. No rushing, no scanning, no impatience, just present. I struck up a conversation. I always did. She smiled, kindly, not flirtatious, not dismissive, just warm. I asked her out within 10 minutes. She laughed softly, not mocking, not impressed, just amused. And she said no, not harshly, not dramatically, just calmly. I like to take my time, she said. That confused me. Time with what? Talking? Dating? Life? I took her answer as a challenge. I thought, if I try harder, she'll feel what I want her to feel. That was my mistake. Over depth, I kept showing up too much. Flowers, notes, compliments, grand gestures. I was loud emotionally, and she was quiet. She listened more than she spoke. She asked questions I wasn't used to. Not about my job, not about my achievements, about how I felt when I was alone, about what I did when I was sad, about what scared me. Those questions made me uncomfortable, so I joked, deflected, changed the subject. I thought vulnerability was weakness. I wanted excitement. She wanted understanding. And instead of slowing down, I sped up. I told her I liked her deeply before I even knew her. I told her I could see a future before I had seen her past. I told her I felt something special. She looked at me quietly and said, "You don't know me yet." That annoyed me. I thought she was being difficult. I said, "I know enough." She shook her head. "No," she said, "you know what you want me to be." That moment still echoes in my head. I didn't understand it then. I understand it now. I kept pushing for emotional closeness without building emotional safety. And one day, she stopped answering my calls. I showed up at the bookstore. She wasn't there. I asked the owner. "She moved," he said, "just like that, gone. No explanation, no closure, no dramatic ending, just absence." I told myself she was afraid of love. I told myself she was too cautious. I told myself she didn't know what she wanted. I told myself everything except the truth. The truth was, I didn't know how to slow down. The consequences, what I lost. Without realizing, years passed. I married twice. Both marriages burned bright and died fast. I was intense, then distant, then confused. I kept thinking something was wrong with the women. They were too emotional, too sensitive, too demanding. But the pattern was me. I wanted the feeling of closeness without doing the work of connection. I wanted affection without understanding. I wanted intimacy without patience. I confused chemistry with compatibility, and I confused attachment with love. I remember my second wife, Maria. She was 38 when we met, older than me. She used to say, "You don't listen, you wait." I didn't understand. She meant I waited for my turn to speak. I waited to impress. I waited to redirect. I didn't listen to understand. I listened to respond. And one night after an argument, she said something that changed me. Too late, but it changed me. She said, "You make everything intense, but nothing safe." I laughed. I actually laughed. I said, "Love isn't supposed to be safe." She looked at me like I had said something tragic, and she whispered, "For women who've already lived, it is." She left me 3 months later. I didn't cry that night. I drank. Years later, I cried. Not when she left, when I finally understood why. The wisdom, what slow love really is. I'm 79 now. My hands shake when I hold my coffee. My knees ache when it rains. And my heart finally knows things my ego never let me learn. Older women don't want speed. They've already seen how fast things fall apart. They don't want fireworks. They've cleaned up the ashes. They don't want promises. They want presence. They want to feel seen without being chased. They want to feel safe without being trapped. They want someone who can sit in silence without trying to fix it. Someone who can listen without planning a response. Someone who doesn't need to be impressive. Just real. Slow emotional connection isn't passive. It's intentional. It says, "I'm not here to take from you. I'm here to understand you. I'm not afraid of time. I'm not afraid of depth." I spent most of my life trying to make women feel something. Older women want to feel understood. That's the difference. I thought slowing down meant losing momentum. Now I know it meant gaining meaning. If I could speak to Helen now, I wouldn't flirt. I wouldn't impress. I wouldn't push. I would ask. I would listen. I would wait. And I would let her discover me instead of trying to sell myself. That's what slow connection really is. Not a strategy, not a technique, a respect for time, for complexity, for history, for wounds, for depth. I didn't lose Helen because she didn't care. I lost her because I didn't know how to. If you're still young or still searching, please don't rush what deserves time. Call someone, sit with them, listen, really listen. Don't make my mistake. If this story stayed with you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if you want more wisdom before time runs out, you know where to find me.